Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC Vegas 57, and in the main event we have Arman Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction of this amazing lightweight fight. I know some people have complained about the main event of UFC Vegas 57, but I look at this fight and I absolutely love this fight. This is two high-level guys. I know neither guy is in the top 10, but they're in the top 15 of the rankings. And this is a fight that kind of came to fruition because nobody in that top 10 wanted to take a fight with Tsarukyan or Mateusz Gamrot. And that's kind of why this fight happened, because these guys, needed a fight. And so they decided to fight each other. The UFC typically doesn't match guys like this up just because they're both up-and-coming guys. They want to kind of build their name off of, known talent. But this just kind of happened because nobody wanted to fight these guys. And these are two high-level fighters, regardless of where they're ranked. They both have great skill sets. And I think this is a great main event for a fight night card. I'm tired of terrible main events where you just have somebody in there just because of their name recognition. I mean, Miesha Tate should not be main eventing a fight night. I much prefer a fight like Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot. I much prefer this fight, and I'm really looking forward to this fight. So if you look at the tail of the tape, Tsarukyan is ranked number 11. Gamrot is ranked number 12. Arman is 25. Mateusz is 31. Arman is 5'7". Mateusz is 5'10". Arman has a 72.5-inch reach. Gamrot has a 70.5-inch reach. So a height advantage for Gamrot, but the reach advantage is for Tsarukyan. So if you look at Mateusz Gamrot's record, he has 20 wins and 1 loss. His only loss is his UFC debut against Guram Kutateladze, which isn't a bad loss to have. It's a split decision loss. And on top of that, a lot of people, including Kutateladze, thought that Mateusz Gamrot won that fight. It was a close fight. I rewatched it, before I made this video, and I thought that Gamrot took rounds 1 and round 3, but it was a very close fight. It wasn't a robbery by any means, but even Kutateladze said in his post-fight interview that he thought he lost this fight. He got out-grappled in the first and third round. There were some good scrambles. There were some good striking battles. There were some good body kicks from Guram. But again, even if you think Gamrot lost this fight, Kutateladze is an elite level lightweight fighter. I know he's not in the rankings. He just had a very high level fight with Damir Ismagulov, which he lost via split decision, which he could have easily won. It was a very close fight. So not a bad loss to have. He has a win over Scott Holtzman by KO. Not the greatest win. I think Scott Holtzman is retired at this point. After that, he fought Jeremy Stephens, which is probably the biggest name on his resume. But this was at Jeremy Stephens' career decline a little bit. But he went out there and made Jeremy Stephens look like he did not even belong with him. Took him down immediately, shot in on a single leg, got him down, and within 45 seconds, locked in a Kimura and submitted Jeremy Stephens. Even though Jeremy Stephens was on the decline, when have we ever seen him get defeated so quickly, especially by submission? And his most recent fight was December of 2021 against Carlos Diego Ferreira. I actually picked against Gamrot in this fight. I just thought Carlos Diego Ferreira would be able to scramble out of some of these positions and maybe potentially get a submission. I thought he was a little bit better striker, but Gamrot came in and showed that he evolved with his striking a little bit, and we really didn't get to see the fight play out too much. Gamrot was winning, but he got a takedown. He had a back mount on Diego Ferreira. He threw a knee to the rib and injured Diego. Diego had to basically tap out verbally to the ref, and they stopped the fight. But still a decent performance. We at least got to see a round and a half, and Gamrot really, showed that he belonged with the top 15 of the lightweight division. Now, if you look over at Arman Tsarukyan, he has 18 wins and 2 losses. His most recent loss, was all the way back in 2019 against Islam Makhachev, and that's not a bad loss to have on your resume, especially considering Tsarukyan came in on short notice against Islam. It was a competitive fight, and look where Islam is now. A lot of people favor him to beat the champion Charles Oliveira in his next fight. And, he's just been dominating guys. And in this fight, Tsarukyan was very competitive, and it was on short notice. So it was a decent loss for Arman to get a gauge for his skill set. And on top of that, I look at Islam Makhachev's record, and I think this is his best win on his record is Arman. His most recent fight was against Joel Alvarez in February of this year. I picked against him against Joel Alvarez. I just thought Joel Alvarez had a little bit better striking. I thought he had great submission ability. I thought he was longer, taller, and I just thought he would beat Arman Tsarukyan. Well, boy, was I wrong. Tsarukyan kicked the leg out from underneath of him, got him down, controlled him in the top position, and just brutalized him with elbows, busted him open. I thought from the cut, and there was so much blood, I thought there was a chance the fight would get stopped in between rounds. The referee was looking at it very closely for like the last 10 seconds. Well, it makes it to the next round. The cut man does his work. They go out there, he takes Joel Alvarez down again, beats him up, and eventually the referee steps in. I think this was a solid win over Joel Alvarez, even though I believe that Tsarukyan was a massive favorite in this fight. I thought Joel Alvarez was going to win this fight. The fight before that was against Christos Gigas. He finished him via TKO in the first round. This fight, we got to see him face a little bit of adversity. He was taken down, controlled on the ground for a little bit. He was able to use defense, make his way back to his feet, and then brutally catch Christos Gigas. I think it was with a right hand, put him down, swarmed him with shots, and finished him off with ground and pound. And then the fight before that was at UFC 257, January of 2021, against Matt Frevola. And Matt Frevola is not an easy guy to finish, and this was a competitive fight, but Tsarukyan just dominated him with grappling and mixing in the striking, and it just showed how well-rounded Arman Tsarukyan is. You know, he was just able to incorporate all facets in his game in that fight against Matt Frevola. Before that, he beat Davey Ramos. I mean, that we're getting all the way back to 2020. I don't really think these are super relevant, but either way, he's on a 5-fight win streak. He's only ever lost 2 fights. One was at the beginning of his career back in 2015, and the other one was in 2019 against Islam Makhachev on short notice, and it was a very competitive fight. I think some people even thought that Tsarukyan won that fight, which I did not think he won the fight, but it was still a very competitive fight. So you look at both guys, and in this fight, I think they have very similar skill sets. You know, you have Mateusz Gamrot, who's a decorated grappler, have won a lot of championships in grappling. And this is a guy that looks to take you down and beat you up on the ground and look for a submission. And Tsarukyan is the same way. He looks to take you down, beat you up on the ground, he more or less looks for ground and pound finishes, but he's also looking for submissions as well. And I'm wondering really, how is this fight going to play out? Because if the grappling cancels each other out, who's the better striker in this fight? And that's why this fight is so hard to pick. I really believe it's 50-50. If I had to give a grappling advantage in this fight, I think Mateusz Gamrot has the grappling advantage. I think he's just a little bit better grappler. But I don't know if that edge in grappling is going to lead to Gamrot being able to take Tsarukyan down and controlling him on the ground and beating him up and just being able to hold him there, because both of these guys are very good scramblers. And Gamrot, when I went back and watched, you know, his 4 fights in the UFC, I seen him evolve in his striking. His striking has evolved so much since the Guram fight, which was back in October of 2020, to the Carlos Diego Fajeda fight. His striking looked much improved in this fight. So it's like, you know, you watch the Guram fight and you're like, okay, Tsarukyan has the striking advantage, but now you watch the Carlos Diego Fajeda fight, he is much improved. And when looking at these guys' past fights, and this is something I look at when I think of future contenders or future champions, is guys consistently getting better. Every fight out, they just look a little bit improved each and every time. And that's the same for both these guys. Every time they fight, they appear to have gotten better and better every single time. And that just shows that I think both of these guys are going to be within the lightweight division in the top 10 for years to come. I think once they break in there, I think they're going to take some of these older veterans type guys like Dustin Poirier, Chandler, in the next 2 years or so, take their spot. And I think these guys are going to be future contenders within the UFC lightweight division. So how do I see this fight going down? This is a 5-round fight. Neither one of these guys have ever gone 5 rounds. I'm a little bit worried about Tsarukyan's cardio. Sometimes he has faded in high output fights, but it's not enough that I can say, oh, he's definitely going to gas. He knows this is 5 rounds. He's been training for 5 rounds. The same for Gamrot. He hasn't particularly shown like terrible cardio, but he hasn't had like a crazy output fight like Tsarukyan has had fights, like the Joel Alvarez fight in the first and second round. He was throwing heavy ground and pound. And, I see this fight going one of 2 ways. I think there is a slight chance that Mateusz Gamrot can go out there, get Arman Tsarukyan down, control him on the ground, and just win a decision. Maybe only gets him down for half the round. Arman scrambles back to his feet and then is able to land some striking, and it's a close fight, and maybe goes to Mateusz Gamrot via decision. You know, I just see so many paths to victory for both guys. I could see Gamrot winning that way by decision. I could see Tsarukyan being able to keep the fight standing. If he does get taken down, you know, be able to scramble back to his feet, land some good shots on the feet. I could see both guys winning by decision. I could see Gamrot or Tsarukyan winning by submission. I mean, this is such a tough fight to pick. But if I had to look at their strengths, I think both guys are very good grapplers. I think Gamrot has a slight edge with the grappling. I think he probably will get a couple takedowns in this fight. But I think Tsarukyan has the advantage striking. I just think he has a little bit more fluidity with his striking. I think he has a little bit better footwork. I think he has a little bit more variety of attack. Gamrot doesn't use a lot of kicks. And again, he has been incorporating them into his game a little bit more. He did in the Carlos Diego Ferreira fight. And, you know, who knows? He may come out and may look better than ever in this fight. He's shown consistent improvement. But I think this fight is going to be contested primarily on the feet, and I see Tsarukyan winning this fight. I'm going to say third round TKO. I think that he's just a little bit better striker. I think Gamrot, you know, his takedowns are very good in the center of the cage, but both guys are great scramblers. And I think that Tsarukyan he's able to be taken down. Maybe he gets taken down, controlled for 30 seconds or a minute. But I think Tsarukyan is not going to accept the position. He's going to scramble back to the feet and get right back to work with the striking. And I just think that Gamrot doesn't incorporate enough variety of attacks. He looks a little bit sloppy on the feet, especially with the hands. And I just think Tsarukyan is just a little bit more fluid. I think he's going to be able to clip up Gamrot. I think Gamrot's going to be shooting a lot of takedowns. And while he does have great timing, and he does get, you know, he's one of the few guys that gets takedowns in the center of the cage. A lot of guys in MMA nowadays tend to push their opponent up against the cage and, you know, get the takedown from there. Actually, Tsarukyan, you know, when he gets his takedowns, he tends to do it up against the cage. Gamrot has great timing, but I think he telegraphs some of them quite a bit. And I think Tsarukyan's going to be able to defend him. I think he's going to get taken down a couple times, maybe in the first, second round, maybe once or twice. But I think he'll be able to scramble back to his feet, similar to what Diego Ferreira was able to do in his fight, similar to what Guram was able to do. Obviously, Jeremy Stephens got submitted immediately, so he wasn't able to do it. But I just think he'll be able to scramble back to the feet, and I just think he's a little bit more powerful. He's a little bit more fluid on the feet, and I think that he has a little bit more variety of attack, and I just think that he's going to be able to eventually find a shot. As Gamrot gets a little bit tired from looking for these takedowns and shooting on these takedowns and trying to control Tsarukyan on the ground as he's trying to scramble up again. Tsarukyan's a great scrambler, but so is Gamrot. Honestly, he might be able to cement the position against the cage, maybe get his back, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Tsarukyan will be able to find his way to his feet, and as the fight goes on and Mateusz Gamrot starts to slow down a little bit and starts to fade and starts looking for more of desperation takedowns and telegraphing him a little bit more than he would early in the early rounds, I think Tsarukyan's going to land a big shot on him, put him down, follow him to the ground, and finishing him off with brutal ground and pound elbows. That's another thing that Tsarukyan has. I've seen it in a lot of his fights. He has a sense of urgency. This is a big, you know, factor in fights. There's a lot of guys who will rock somebody or hurt somebody, and there will be no sense of urgency to look for the finish. If Tsarukyan hurts you, he will show a sense of urgency. He will be looking for the finish, and I think this fight's going to be very competitive. I think as it goes on, Gamrot's going to start slowing down. I think Tsarukyan's going to slow down a little bit too, but I just think he has the striking edge. I think he has a better variety of attacks. I'm going to say he catches him with a head kick, wobbles him, follows him to the ground, and TKOs him with brutal ground and pound elbows. That's going to be my prediction. Third round TKO, Arman Tsarukyan. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, you guys can let me know on Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MMA Joey C. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.